Alrighty, welcome everyone. In this video, I'm doing a review of Infamous. This game was originally released in 2009, and here in 2021, I recommend playing it. It's a seriously fun game, even by today's standards. The story is actually one of the best pieces of the game, surprisingly. Just keep in mind that this review contains no spoilers, so continue on without worry. Keep in mind that this game is only available to play on PlayStation 3 console or through the PlayStation Now streaming service. Now, PlayStation Now is accessible through PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and yes, even PC. That's right, you can play PlayStation games on a PC, but that's a separate review video. A link to that is in the video description. Going back to the game, starting with the story, you play as Cole McGrath. He's just a regular bike messenger on his way to deliver a package until it explodes. Kablamo! The destruction wipes out several blocks and kills thousands of people. Cole wakes up from the center of the blast, but gains powers from the explosion. The explosion causes a plague to spread throughout Empire City, which is where the game takes place. This plague forces the federal government to create a blockade to prevent citizens from leaving the city and spreading the disease. In the city, people are dying, starving, and gangs are emerging in numerous amounts and wreaking havoc. Cole reaches his best friend Zeke and girlfriend Trish. From here, Cole is on a mission to find out why the package detonated and why he gained powers from it. Cutscenes are done like a graphic novel, and they have a nice subtle animation to them. Keep in mind that this game has an open ending and requires you to play Infamous 2. In that game, the story is completed. Infamous 2 is also an incredible game. A link to that review can be found in the video description. Again, without giving any spoilers in this video, I'll just say that the ending of Infamous 1, which I'm currently reviewing, was amazing in one sense and disappointing in another way, and left me scratching my head. And I explained that in another video that does contain spoilers. A link to that is in the video description because a big chunk of the ending just made no sense. This game should take you about 15 hours to complete just for the campaign. If you do want to complete side quests, it could run you about 30 hours. The story is great, but the characters are kind of bland. Cole's personality is dry and boring. He's just so robotic and dull. It doesn't help that his voice sounds like a terrible impersonation of the Batman voice.
That's because one of those maniacs blew up a whole substation.
Okay, I'm exaggerating. His voice isn't terrible, but it's rather dry. So coupling that with his lack of personality isn't a good combination. In fact, most of the important characters are pretty generic. Government officials are cliche spy characters, and that's pretty much it to their limited character. The girlfriend Trish complains most of the game, just like my wife. No, I'm so sorry, wife. Please don't watch this video. I love you so much. Of course, Trish's reasons for being upset are valid. Most of the game, their relationship is at a sour state. Except for one boss, they're pretty one-dimensional because their appearances are so limited. They could be interesting villains, but I wish they had more screen time for the player to be more invested in defeating them. I don't want to show any of the bosses since it might ruin some of the fun from their battles. The best character design is Cole's best friend, Zeke. He's a selfish jerk with sass, but it works well. The gamer will think he's a sleazebag, but that means the writer succeeded with his character.
The fastest way out of town. That is, if you can get us past those baton-wielding goons.
We're getting out of here, one way or another.
Where Cole shines is his use of powers and agility. Think of him as a mix of Assassin's Creed assassins and Spider-Man, but instead of web, he has electricity. There are plenty of objects and walls of buildings for Cole to climb and grab, and the mechanics work well. The only annoying thing to controlling Cole is commanding him to drop from a wall. He'll just continue grabbing the next object on the way down, and during combat this can be annoying. Not a big deal, just bothersome. His electric powers are also awesome. He starts off with only a handful of abilities but gains more as the game progresses. I don't want to show all of them because you should play this game and it's something to look forward to as you unlock some of the best ones. Apart from unlocking new powers during main missions, there's also a skills menu in which you can upgrade abilities and unlock more by doing certain tasks. The karma system makes you choose between good and evil actions. Do more good actions and people will start to take pictures of you and cheer you on. Do evil deeds and people will attack you. The karma path you choose will impact the way Cole looks, the city atmosphere, and the color of your powers, and kind of entices the player to play the game twice. One is good, one is evil. Combat mechanics work incredibly well, and controls are simple but effective. Key powers are mapped to specific button controls that are easy to use. The big letdown for combat is melee. There is a melee combat button that you can also upgrade, but trying to do melee in this game is a bad idea. It can mean death for Cole, which is disappointing because it could have had a lot more potential. Empire City is fairly large and has plenty of places for Cole to explore and unlock. There are also plenty of side quests. Depending on the side quest, the more Cole completes, the less enemy presence will appear in a certain area. There are also plenty of optional items to collect, such as collecting audio recordings, blast shards, which allows Cole to store more electricity, and much more. Enemies aren't that smart, but they make up for the lack of sense by attacking in large groups. There are more enemies than you can count, and their gun accuracy is surprisingly amazing, which makes combat challenging but fun. There are also random events throughout the city Cole will pass by that aren't exactly side quests but can help you adjust your karma meter. Considering this is a PS3 game, the graphics are pretty darn good. Side characters can look dated at times, but it's nothing that will ruin the game. Keep in mind that this game also has some bugs, but fortunately they were pretty rare. Frame rates can also drop if there's too much happening on the screen, but that's also pretty rare. Sound and music is on point in this game. Cole's powers sound loud and can pack a punch, and enemy gunfire can be heard from a distance. Even the simple noises from Cole while he runs from his clothes and gear is spot on. I know that last point sounds odd, but in most games the noise the protagonist makes is usually quiet, which is odd because this is the main character that the game is following. Infamous understands that and makes sure that the noise coming from Cole's are the loudest. Voices from characters aren't bad, but again, most of them are rather cliche, and Cole's voice is disappointing because of his underwhelming personality and dialogue. As I mentioned earlier, Zeke's character is probably written the best, he also has the best sounding voice. So to recap, I have two complaints about this game. One is the ending. It's kind of written poorly, and I explain that in another video that contains heavy spoilers. Again, a link to that is in the video description. The second complaint I have isn't actually against the game though. I'm just disappointed that the developer studios Sucker Punch and Sony haven't remastered this game. It deserves to be remastered. Currently, the only way to play this game is on PlayStation 3 or PlayStation Now streaming service. Again, I do have a review of the PlayStation Now service that is available for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and yes, even PC. So please check it out. If you don't have a PlayStation console to play this game, do it on PC. You'll be doing yourself a favor. So that's pretty much it. I hope you found this video useful. Be sure to check out my social links in the description, and thanks for watching.